Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano. Today is Monday. I have a whiskey review for you. Today we're doing the JT Meleck Distillers, the rice whiskey coming out of Louisiana. Just like always, we're going to pour it, nose it, taste it, talk about it a little bit. I'm going to add some water to this, and then if you stick around until the very end of the video, I'm going to give this thing a score. So I don't know if you are familiar with this channel or not, but the Bourbon Jerk and I exchanged some samples, and this was the first sample in the WhiskeyTube Sample Swap flight that Tom over in the Bourbon Jerk gave me, and I was completely impressed and completely fooled by it. I thought it was I actually thought it was a bourbon. Oh, all right. I remember the first time I smelled it, there was a Tootsie Roll note that's coming out, and that's here as well, but I wouldn't say that it's just pure Tootsie Roll. I think it's a bitter dark chocolate note coming through. Dusty chocolate, smells pretty sweet, vanilla icing, and there is a little bit of a spice to it, and I don't know if it's pepper or cinnamon or a combination of both. If you're wondering if it smells like rice, I was wondering the same thing. After I opened this, I have a big bag of rice in my pantry, and I just opened it up and I shoved my nose in there. I guess there's a dustiness to it or a graininess to it that it might have something similar or something in common, but I would not peg this as rice. To me, it still smells like a bourbon. All right, before I take a sip, let me just run through the stats of this. Again, JT Meleck Distillers, and I'm not sure of the name. There might be a little bit of a branding issue here. You guys let me know in the comments down below. Is this just JT Meleck and you have to know based on the labels that you're drinking the higher proof version? Because to me, it's not that clear, or maybe I'm just not looking at it correctly. JT Meleck Distillers, Louisiana Handcrafted whiskey. It's high proof, 118, and it's small batch, 59% ABV. Like I mentioned, it's a rice whiskey coming out of Louisiana. It is aged 4 years, tells you right there on the label. And this is batch number 425, 750 milliliter bottle. And I paid online, I think I went through the Bourbon Outfitters, and it was around 60 bucks. Yeah, the more that I smell this, the more of a chocolate note is coming out. Dusty chocolate, like a dark, bitter, dark chocolate. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing on the palate. Cheers, everybody. Sugar sweet, vanilla icing, a little bit of a farm crafty note coming through. That dark chocolate bitter note is there. It's not distracting. It's just there. Adds a little bit of character, a little bit of depth to it. And on the far back end, it's pretty spicy. There's a fruity note coming through. So let's just stick with red apple. And the red apple skin's giving it a tart note, dark chocolate bitterness, vanilla icing. It's just, I think this is a very unique whiskey. It's a very unique pour. And again, if I didn't know any better, I would say that this is a bourbon. It just has those type of notes. Let me know in the comments down below if you have had this, if you've had any of the JT Meleck products. And again, pleasantly surprised about what it is. All right, let me go ahead and get a second sip in. I want to concentrate on the finish and see if it's consistent with those notes all the way through or if something else is being revealed. Second sip, everybody. Cinnamon spice, red fruit, red apple skins. There is a bitterness. That chocolate note's still there. The tart or the bitter notes, like the oak bitter notes that are sinking underneath the tongue, it's probably getting to the point where it might be too bitter for me. Because if you have that bitterness plus the tartness of those apple skins, it might be a little bit too much. Now, if I was actually thinking ahead, I should have kept a little bit more of the sample of the Bourbon Jerk's sample so I can actually compare the two, because I don't know what batch his was, but I don't remember his coming across as bitter or tart as this one. Still very good, but I believe just in my head, it's coming across as a little bit different. Let me go ahead and add a little bit of water to this, and I want to talk a little bit about JT Meleck. So JT Meleck Distillery was founded by Mike Fugue back in 2012, but the JT Meleck name dates back all the way to 1896. They are still on that same 20-acre property in southern Louisiana. It's been family owned, and they originally and still are producing rice. 5 generations later, I think they introduced crawdad as well. And then a few years later, they ended up introducing their spirits as well. So this property has been in the family since 1896, and it has evolved from rice to crawdads and now a distillery. But they're still doing all 3 things on that original 20-acre farm in South Louisiana, which is South Louisiana. They're in Branch, Louisiana. And if I'm reading my literature correctly, they started distilling spirits in 2018. And their first release of their rice whiskey was in 2022. I'm not exactly positive of that date. If you know any different, let me know in the comments down below. If you've had any of their products, let me know what you think of them in the comments down below. All right, hopefully that is enough time for the water to do its thing. Let's go ahead and get this thing on the nose one more time, taste it, and then give it a score. I don't think the water did this any favors. It now smells like sawdust. There is a dusty wood note that's coming through in the glass. I still get a faint, bitter, dark chocolate note and that typical crafty note that smells a little bit like a barnyard. Hay, earth, floor, herbal. Yeah, not a big fan of the nose with the water. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate, see if that's changed. So adding the water has definitely took the edge, the spice edge off of the fruit. You lose a little bit, or not a little bit, you lose a lot of the nuances that this offered without the water. Going forward, I don't think I would put water into this. The finish is still a little bit of a cinnamon spice. The fruity note is still there. Apple skins, and that tartness and bitterness are still there, probably elevated to the point where I'm not really a big fan of that. And I think adding the water just amplified those notes a little bit more. All right, before I get on to the score, I just want to remind you I do have an ongoing monthly giveaway happening. If you're interested in supporting the channel, read through the rules that are in the description below. Every $5 entry gets you 1 entry into the giveaway. At the beginning of October, I'll have a randomized wheel of everybody that donated. I'll spin it. If your name is selected, you get to choose 12 2-ounce samples of anything that I reviewed in the month of September. And on top of that, I have a couple of bottles in my collection that I'm getting rid of. So I'm also going to be in touch with the winners and see where their preferences lie and throw in a bottle. Something like Elijah Craig barrel proofs, Larceny barrel proofs. I have a couple of Booker releases along with a lot of the barrel bourbon batches. And not being a big fan of Four Roses, I also have some of the Four Roses single barrels. So hey, $5 to win 12 2-ounce samples plus a bottle, I'd give it a shot. All right. Based on what I have in the glass today, I really like this. I like the price. I like the proof. I like everything that it's offering, with the exception of that bitter tart note. That's going to drop it down a little bit. But I like the chocolate note. I like the cinnamon, the vanilla icing, the cinnamon spice. I like how it's finishing, kind of lingers around a little bit. It's just very unique and a good conversation starter. So I'm going to put this at a 3.75. It's not earth-shattering. It's not really that complex. I don't think, based on my tasting, it has evolved or changed over the 3 or the 4 tastings that I had. Just an interesting pour. It's a solid pour, and I'm really looking forward to sharing this with my family to see what they think of it. All right, so there you go. Louisiana 100% rice whiskey. Very cool stuff. So wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it. Until the next time, we'll talk to everybody later. Bye.